The answer hit me so fast that for a moment I forgot how to breathe. I had asked it as a joke. She had answered as if she had been waiting her whole life to hear those words. The bright morning sun spilled across the apartment courtyard, painting everything in warm gold. Children chased each other around the small garden. Elderly residents sat on benches feeding birds. And somewhere nearby, a radio played an old song about love and longing. It should have been an ordinary day. Instead, it became the day that changed my life forever. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life brings people together, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone special, and subscribe to Storyverse. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people around the world. My name is Rowan Hale, and at 34 years old, I thought I had everything figured out. I had a stable job as an architectural designer. I had a decent apartment. I had enough money to live comfortably. What I didn't have was happiness. 3 years earlier, my engagement had ended in a way that left scars I rarely spoke about. The woman I had planned to marry walked away just weeks before our wedding. She didn't leave because we fought. She didn't leave because we stopped loving each other. She left because she said she wanted a different life. Those words haunted me. Since then, I had built walls around myself stronger than any building I ever designed. I smiled at people. I attended family gatherings. I went to work every day. But inside, I felt disconnected from everyone around me. Then Mara Whitlock moved into the apartment next door. The first thing I noticed about her wasn't her appearance. It was her silence. Most new residents introduced themselves. Most tried to make friends. Mara didn't. She carried her boxes upstairs alone. She avoided conversations. She kept her eyes down whenever people greeted her. There was sadness around her that felt almost visible. At first, I barely paid attention. Everyone carries their own burdens. I had mine. She had hers. But over time, little moments began changing things. One rainy afternoon, I found her struggling with several grocery bags outside the building. Without thinking, I helped carry them upstairs. She thanked me with a small smile. A week later, she left homemade cookies outside my door with a handwritten note. The note simply said, "Thank you." Months passed. The awkward greetings became conversations. The conversations became evening walks. The evening walks became friendship. For the first time in years, I found myself looking forward to seeing someone. Still, there were things about Mara that remained mysterious. She never spoke much about her family. She never mentioned close friends. Whenever conversations drifted toward her past, a shadow crossed her face. I learned not to push. One sunny Saturday morning, nearly a year after she moved in, we were sitting in the courtyard drinking coffee. The atmosphere felt lighter than usual. People laughed nearby. Birds fluttered through the trees. For once, Mara seemed relaxed. That was when I jokingly asked if she wanted to go on a trip together. I expected her to laugh. Instead, she immediately said yes. The smile vanished from her face almost as quickly as it appeared. For a second, her eyes looked frightened, then hopeful, then frightened again. It was as though she had revealed a secret she hadn't meant to share. Neither of us spoke. The silence stretched between us. Finally, I smiled and asked where she'd want to go. A soft warmth entered her expression. She looked toward the sky. Then she quietly said she had always wanted to see the ocean. The answer surprised me. We lived only a few hours away from one of the most beautiful coastlines in the country. Most people had visited dozens of times. Mara never had. Something about that realization stayed with me. A week later, we packed our bags and left. The drive to the coast took most of the day. The weather was perfect. Blue skies stretched endlessly overhead. Fields rolled past the windows like scenes from a movie. For the first hour, we talked constantly. Then gradually silence settled comfortably between us. Not awkward silence, peaceful silence, the kind shared by people who no longer feel the need to impress each other. When we finally reached the ocean, Mara stepped out of the car and froze. I watched as tears filled her eyes. The waves crashed against the shore. Seagulls circled overhead. The scent of salt filled the air for several minutes. She simply stood there watching, listening, feeling. Then she started crying. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet tears rolling down her cheeks. I didn't ask why. I somehow knew this moment belonged entirely to her. As the sun lowered across the horizon, we walked along the beach. The golden light reflected across the water like liquid fire. Everything felt strangely perfect. Then Mara told me the truth. Years earlier, she had been married. Her husband wasn't cruel, he wasn't violent, but he controlled every aspect of her life. Where she went, who she spoke to, what dreams she was allowed to pursue. Every time she mentioned traveling, he dismissed the idea. Every time she talked about seeing the ocean, he laughed. Eventually, she stopped dreaming altogether. The marriage ended after years of emotional exhaustion. By then, she barely recognized herself. The woman who moved into the apartment next to mine wasn't simply starting over, she was trying to remember who she had once been. As darkness settled over the beach, I felt something break inside me. Not pain, not sadness, understanding. For years, I thought heartbreak belonged only to me. Now I realized everyone carries invisible battles. Everyone hides wounds. Everyone hopes someone will see beyond their smile. That night, sitting outside our small seaside hotel, Mara admitted something else. She had almost said no when I invited her. Fear nearly stopped her. Fear had controlled much of her life. But for once, she chose courage instead. The next morning brought unexpected trouble. A phone call arrived just after breakfast. My company informed me that a major project had collapsed. Several employees might lose their jobs, including me. The news hit like a hammer. Suddenly, the peaceful trip felt fragile. My future looked uncertain. Old anxieties returned. The familiar fear of losing everything began creeping back into my mind. For hours, I couldn't enjoy anything. I kept checking emails, making calls, running through worst-case scenarios. Finally, Mara took my phone and placed it inside her bag. She didn't scold me. She didn't lecture me. She simply reminded me that some problems cannot be solved in a single afternoon. The ocean continued moving. The sun continued shining. Life continued happening. For the rest of the day, we explored small coastal towns. We visited bookstores, walked through markets, shared meals at family-owned cafes. Little by little, the tension inside me eased. For years, I had been surviving. I had forgotten how to live. As evening approached, we climbed a cliff overlooking the water. The view was breathtaking. Waves stretched endlessly toward the horizon. Clouds glowed orange and pink. The entire world seemed painted in light. That was when Mara shared the secret she had never told anyone in the apartment complex. She had been diagnosed with a serious heart condition several years earlier. The condition wasn't immediately life-threatening, but it made her future uncertain. She never knew how much time she had before surgery might become necessary. Fear had stolen years from her life. Not because she was dying, because she was afraid of truly living. Hearing her story changed something inside me forever. Life wasn't waiting somewhere in the future. Life was happening right now. On that cliff, overlooking the ocean she had dreamed about seeing for years, Mara finally looked free. And for the first time in a very long time, so did I. The days that followed became some of the happiest of my life. Not because everything was perfect, but because we stopped waiting for perfect. We simply embraced what existed. Each sunrise, each laugh, each memory, each moment. Sometimes happiness arrives quietly, not through grand miracles, not through dramatic victories, but through ordinary days shared with extraordinary people. Yet neither of us knew that the greatest challenge was still ahead, and when it arrived, it would test everything we had learned about courage, trust, and love.